took the WNBA and they set all-time ratings records. If Caitlin Clark's not in this, the list is nonsense. Who did the list? Time Magazine?
Yeah.
And there's no Caitlin Clark?
No, I don't think so.
That's idiotic. That's the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
This might be one of the most obvious and embarrassing snubs of Caitlin Clark's entire career, especially when you consider everything we've seen over the past few weeks. Incredibly, Caitlin Clark was left off Time's prestigious Team 100 Most Influential People list. Names like Jalen Hurts and Simone Biles appeared, and even Ed Sheeran made the cut, who, let's be honest, mostly influences us to switch off the radio whenever he comes on. But get this, you're going to laugh when you hear which WNBA players actually made it onto the list. That's right, multiple WNBA players were included, yet Caitlin Clark, the woman who almost single-handedly pushed the WNBA into mainstream popularity, apparently wasn't influential enough for Time. Let's set the record straight. Absolutely no one has done more for women's sports in 2024 than Caitlin Clark. Yet despite her massive impact, the media keeps finding ways to downplay her success. And this isn't just a one-time thing. There have been several examples in just the past few weeks. The agenda against Caitlin Clark is becoming painfully clear, and frankly, it's getting worse by the day. We're going to break down exactly what's going on here and expose what the media is really up to. You won't believe some of the ridiculous takes. But first, smash that like button if you're tired of seeing Caitlin's accomplishments being ignored.
So, number 22 from Indiana, makes history quite a lot. Makes history an awful lot.
So why is this snub so ridiculous, and how does it fit into a troubling trend that's only getting worse? Well, here's exactly what's happening. The Caitlin Clark effect. Many thought the hype around her would eventually fade, but it's only grown, becoming even bigger and more powerful. First, she turned down playing in Unrivaled and passed up a potential payday of over $1 million. Yet, she created more fan excitement just by showing up at a Kansas City Chiefs game with Taylor Swift than the entire Unrivaled season could generate. Then, the Indiana Fever made major moves in free agency, landing stars like Natasha Howard, DeWanna Bonner, Sophie Cunningham, and other proven champions still performing at a high level. This offseason has given Caitlin Clark her strongest supporting cast yet. The buzz around the team is undeniable, with fans and analysts seriously talking about championship potential. And after these roster upgrades came major financial investments and smart strategic moves from sponsors and broadcasters, all banking on Caitlin's skyrocketing popularity to help push women's basketball to new heights.
It's really no surprise they're atop the list for the most games available for you to check out on a national scale.
The Fever secured an absolutely mind-blowing 41 out of 44 games on national television or major streaming platforms. Whether it's ABC, ESPN, or CBS, you can flip to...
The Fever secured an absolutely mind-blowing 41 out of 44 games on national television or major streaming platforms. Whether it's ABC, ESPN, or CBS, you can flip to almost any major sports network this season, and there's a good chance you'll catch Caitlin Clark casually pulling up from way downtown, hitting a buzzer beater or sending the crowd into a frenzy. Clark pulls it down, and this building knows what that means. To put this unprecedented exposure into perspective, the next closest team is the Las Vegas Aces, with 33 nationally televised games. That's a big gap, especially when you consider that the Aces are stacked with talent and have consistently been one of the league's top teams. Of course, not everyone's thrilled about Caitlin owning the spotlight. Players like Nafisa Collier have openly voiced frustration, questioning why Caitlin and the Fever are getting more national games than the reigning champion New York Liberty, who landed 32. But let's be real, it doesn't take a genius to understand why the networks are going all in on Caitlin Clark.
Not everyone's thrilled about Caitlin dominating the spotlight. Players like Nafisa Collier openly voiced frustration, questioning why Caitlin and the Fever would receive more national games than the reigning champion New York Liberty, who got 32 games. But let's be real, it doesn't take a genius to figure out why the networks are going all in on Caitlin Clark.
The reason why they have more national TV games because 18 of the top 20 most viewed games last year were the Indiana Fever.
Then you had the Fever pull off something truly unprecedented in women's basketball. selling out an exhibition game against the Brazilian national team. That's right, $15,000, tickets completely gone in just minutes. Seriously, think about that. This isn't Manchester United or the Dallas Cowboys we're talking about. It's a WNBA exhibition game selling out faster than most top-level sports events. And if that wasn't enough proof of Caitlyn's unmatched star power, 6 separate WNBA teams, including major franchises like the Atlanta Dream, Chicago Sky, and Washington Mystics, are literally moving their home games against the Fever into massive NBA-sized arenas. These teams aren't hiding the fact that they're cashing in on Caitlyn's magnetic draw to boost ticket sales, break revenue records, and bring in a whole new wave of fans. It's the Caitlin Clark effect in full force, turning road games into can't-miss events and transforming every venue into a guaranteed sellout. And now, to top it all off, there's this latest development.
Home games against the Fever into massive NBA-sized arenas. These teams aren't shy about capitalizing on Caitlyn's magnetic star power to boost ticket sales, generate record-breaking revenue, and attract a whole new wave of fans to the game. It's the Caitlin Clark effect in action, transforming road games into can't-miss events and turning every venue into a guaranteed sellout. And now, to top it all off, there's this latest development.
Guys, I'm here to tell you.
Remember that preseason game we mentioned earlier? The one that sold out 15,000 tickets in minutes? Well, now it's officially being broadcast nationally by ESPN. Think about how wild that is for a second. This isn't a playoff matchup or even a heated rivalry. It's a preseason exhibition against the Brazilian national team, featuring players only the most dedicated women's basketball fans would recognize. And yet ESPN, one of the biggest sports media giants in the world, decided this was must-see TV. Speaking of must-see TV, let's not ignore what happened to the NCAA women's tournament ratings without Caitlin Clark this year. The Final Four and championship games saw viewership drop by more than 10 million viewers each, compared to when Caitlin played last season. That's not a dip, it's a freefall, and it makes the Caitlin Clark effect more obvious and measurable than ever. Here's the reality. Team owners are cashing in on ticket sales and merchandise. Networks like ESPN, ABC, and CBS are seeing huge spikes in ratings and ad revenue whenever Caitlin steps on the court. Even the players themselves could benefit big time in the upcoming CBA negotiations. The more attention Caitlin brings to the league, the more power every player has at the bargaining table. But despite all this, despite her massive impact on the sport, despite making everyone richer and the league stronger, Caitlin Clark still faces disrespect and dismissal from the media. And this latest snub from Time magazine might just be the most embarrassing example yet, especially when you find out exactly who from the WNBA made the list instead.
That's right, clap it up. Breanna Stewart, Nafisa Collier, the founders of the Unrivaled Basketball League. Time named Unrivaled co-founders Nafisa Collier and Breanna Stewart to the 2025 Time 100, its annual list of the 100 most influential people.
That's right. Nafisa Collier and Breanna Stewart were both named to Time's prestigious 100 most influential people list. But Caitlin Clark was shockingly left out. Now let's be clear. This isn't about throwing shade at these two incredible athletes. Collier and Stewart are stars in their own right, and they deserve respect and credit for stepping up off the court to launch a new basketball league. It's a league built from a good place, with the goal of improving things for players. As U.S. soccer star Alex Morgan wrote in her Time tribute, the dynamic duo stuck their necks out there to give players a chance to make money in the U.S. during the off-season instead of having to relocate their families across the globe. And she's absolutely right. That effort is admirable and deserves recognition. But let's be brutally honest here. Do you know who has actually done the most in real, measurable terms to raise pay and dramatically improve economic opportunities? For women's basketball players, you already know the answer. Caitlin Clark isn't just a once-in-a-generation talent. She's the economic engine of the WNBA. Last season alone, Caitlin drove viewership and attendance through the roof. She was directly responsible for nearly 27% of the league's total economic activity. Think about that. Over a quarter of all WNBA revenue can be tied back to Caitlin Clark. In fact, it's estimated that 1 in every 6 tickets sold league-wide was because fans wanted to see Caitlin play. She single-handedly made the Fever must-see TV, broke attendance records, and brought in waves of new fans, media attention, and sponsorship dollars to women's basketball. And this historic momentum, the Caitlin Clark effect, is exactly what players like Collier and Stewart will now use as leverage in the next collective bargaining negotiations. Caitlin's star power is the proof the league needs to demand bigger checks, better TV deals, and more respect across the board. Yet somehow, Time magazine didn't think she deserved to be on the list of the world's most influential people. Come on now. That's not just a snub, that's flat out absurd. Not on the same page with Collier, lob it ahead, Stewart slings it, Lloyd on the move, untouched. What Nafisa and Brianna did with Unrivaled was absolutely noble. But let's be real, and look at the numbers. Investors poured nearly $9 million into player salaries for the first season of Unrivaled, which ended up drawing around 11.9 million total viewers. Now, I'm not saying that's terrible. It was just their first season. But let's put that into perspective. The teaser clip alone for Caitlin Clark's upcoming collaboration with Dude Perfect pulled in over 12 million views by itself. Seriously, a teaser. Just imagine what the full video is going to do. For context, Dude Perfect is a social media giant. They've racked up more than 18 billion views across their platforms and boast over 60 million YouTube subscribers. To put that in perspective, that's more subscribers than the NBA's official YouTube channel. Their brand is family-friendly, fun, and, most importantly, hugely influential among young sports fans. Exactly the demographic the WNBA has been trying to reach for years. A collab between Caitlin Clark and Dude Perfect isn't just entertainment. It's a direct gateway to millions of new viewers, especially younger, mostly male fans who might never have tuned into women's basketball otherwise. This one collaboration, powered by Caitlin's star appeal, is likely to bring in more new fans and more buzz to women's basketball than Unrivaled's entire first season. And that's the difference. Unrivaled was built mainly for the players. Caitlin Clark's appeal? It's all about the fans. Look, I'm not saying you need to remove Nafisa and Brianna from Time's list, but there's no denying Caitlin Clark absolutely deserves to be there too. So why exactly is she missing? Why does the media keep dodging and downplaying her massive influence? Well, it all circles back to this.
And I love that. I love that she's not the player who's like, it's all about her. It's not. She's giving love and homage to those of us that have come before her. She shares the wealth with her teammates, and she doesn't have to do that. So I just don't, again, I don't know what the big deal is about the fact that Caitlin is getting a lot of love. She deserves that, and she's helped change this game just as a lot of...
Sheila is one of the co-owners of the Washington Mystics, one of the teams that for 2 consecutive seasons now has moved their home games against Caitlin Clark and the Fever into a full-sized NBA arena. Why? Simple. To cash in on Caitlin's enormous star power and maximize revenue. But when it comes to publicly acknowledging who deserves credit for this massive spike in attendance, viewership, and overall buzz, Sheila won't do it. Instead, the credit always seems to be conveniently and evenly distributed. She and others, like her, choose to downplay Caitlin's individual impact, even though their actions clearly show they know better. And let's be crystal clear. Caitlin herself has done everything right. She's gone out of her way time and again to give credit and show respect to current WNBA stars and the trailblazing pioneers who built the league. She routinely praises her peers and highlights the collective efforts of players, past and present.
3-time NCAA scoring leader and assist leader, a true point guard for the people, 3-time All-American, 2-time Naismith Player of the Year, 2-time AP Player of the Year, all-time leading scorer. She broke the records of Kelsey Plum and Sabrina. Like, literally, there is nobody who has been such a front-facing name. It's through a direct reflection of her skill set, but how can you be a top 5 player if you...
But it's never enough. And honestly, it probably never will be. There's a strange obsession, a deliberate ongoing effort to downplay Caitlin's impact, or worse, to knock her down a peg whenever possible. We've seen it happen countless times by now. Remember ESPN's list of the top 5 college, Women's basketball players, they literally used Caitlin Clark's image in the thumbnail, front and center, and even featured her name prominently in the headline to grab clicks. But once they had everyone's attention,
that I will say are in bad faith. The word embarrassing is the only word I can use to describe what this article is.
But after building her up, hyping the audience around her name and achievements, they somehow didn't place her in the top 5. And when the media isn't busy moving the goalposts, they're flat out complaining that the only reason Caitlin Clark is popular is because of her skin color. It's gotten embarrassingly predictable at this point.
Represented, and again, some of this to me probably is not fair to her because it was not anything that she said or was truly based on her personality, but she was a white girl from the middle of America.
Look, this argument is tired. It's lazy. It's a weak excuse designed to distract from the real reasons Caitlin Clark is popular. Fans are drawn to Caitlin because she's electric, exciting, and relentlessly great.
Recently, a Guardian article tried to claim that Caitlin Clark's fans weren't supporting Paige Buchers because Paige had been more vocal on social justice issues, which apparently made them uncomfortable. The article even went as far as suggesting that many Caitlin fans were supporting her primarily because of her race, not because of her talent or accomplishments. Then, ESPN analyst Monica McNutt echoed a similar point, saying, Caitlin's popularity and mainstream appeal were largely tied to her skin color.
First of all, not all fans of Caitlin Clark are white. This is so apparent as a member of social media who interacts with a lot of Caitlin Clark fans, and so many of them are not white. It's just insulting to assume that that's the case to the people that aren't white, to the Black Americans that do love Caitlin Clark.
Look, this argument is tired. It's lazy. It's a weak excuse designed to distract from the real reasons Caitlin Clark is popular. Fans are drawn to Caitlin because she's electric, exciting, and relentlessly great at what she does. Not because of any simplistic narrative about race.
It's only Middle America. It's only Middle America. So what the hell does Middle America have to do with the fact of calling it White America? Caitlin Clark is a phenomenon. This is Uganda. We are looking at Uganda right now. And there are people wearing there are a bunch of girls wearing Iowa t-shirts.
So why does the media keep downplaying Caitlin Clark's influence or insist her popularity is based on something else? Here's a hint. A recent article in USA Today has Caitlin's fans absolutely fuming. The piece essentially calls out Caitlin's fans, saying they need to learn from their mistakes from last year. Translation: fans shouldn't dare to overly elevate Caitlin or defend her too much, nor should they diminish other players. According to them, everyone must receive equal recognition. Sound familiar? It's exactly the same sentiment we heard earlier from Sheila Johnson. Spread the credit evenly, regardless of reality. But here's the problem. It is overwhelmingly clear that Caitlin Clark is the catalyst behind the recent explosion in growth and popularity for the WNBA. And yet, many in the league's orbit simply can't accept it. Players, media, and even owners seem jealous, determined to get their share of credit, whether it's deserved or not. It's bizarre because we don't see this dynamic in any other major sports league. Think about it. In the NBA, NFL, and MLB, the leagues don't twist themselves into knots making sure every single player is equally celebrated. Stars get their spotlight, plain and simple. Look at Major League Soccer, MLS. When David Beckham arrived, it was like the Beatles had landed in America. He got all the attention, and the league embraced it fully. Now with Lionel Messi dominating headlines, ticket prices have soared, fans are flying in from everywhere, and revenues are skyrocketing. No one, not the league, not players, not fans, is bending over backwards trying to make sure every lesser-known player gets equal recognition. So why is the WNBA treating Caitlin Clark's meteoric rise differently? Why can't they fully embrace and celebrate the superstar who is single-handedly pushing women's basketball into unprecedented territory? Why is there this constant need in the WNBA to diminish one of their greatest assets, rather than lifting her, and by extension, the entire league, even higher?
The non-Caitlin Clark games continue to rise.
They don't rise to the level of Caitlin Clark games, but the non-Caitlin Clark games continue to rise, and people keep fighting over the context. And the way I've tried to put this is there is no with and without Caitlin Clark. It's not like it does this with Caitlin Clark, it does this without Caitlin Clark. It's all in conjunction with Caitlin Clark. I mean, it's common sense, right? That when a whole bunch of new people